It is good to be here. This is kind of an impromptu panel. We had different speakers. It was supposed to be me and Craig and a couple other people, but things happen.
It's life.
And yeah. So now we have some amazing other people who are really big within the community, very well known within Twitter Spaces, and we're really glad to be here to speak to you about community and what's the future of NFTs and how can we make this last. So yeah, if everyone, why don't we start with Craig? Tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about yourself.
Sure, I can do that. So I know everybody in the audience has probably been listening to panels all day, and you don't want to listen to another person like me, but I'm up here. I'm going to talk anyway. On Twitter, I'm actually the Ethylorian. If you don't follow me, that's totally fine. I'm not used to being referred to as Craig in this type of setting. Amy actually asked me, do you want to talk about your project? I said no. Right, we're up here to talk about community. That's the most important thing to me. So I'm going to give a little plug right here at the beginning. I'm just going to say we're talking about culture, community, and longevity in this space. Community is a buzzword and buzzword only. When you break community into two parts, there's munity, which is shared right or privilege. I think the NFT space gets that right. Everybody's here enjoying some shared right or privilege based upon how you entered the space, usually through some monetary value. Most of you will stay in the space because you feel that first part, which is the calm piece, the togetherness, or at least the window that you might be able to participate in a meaningful way. But I'm the Ethylorian, and I'll pass it over.
Maria, do you want to go next?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I just want to say that today is the best day ever. And thank you so much for being here. My name is Marriott. I am an artist and founder of the Miss Fre NFT collection. I've been an artist all my life, but only doing art for the past 7 years. And last year, I launched my collection, and it's incredible the power of the community, the support that I have received, and it really changed my life. We launched on Magic Eden, sold out in 2 minutes. And here we are building a bigger community and, making new friends.
Moishi.
Hey, everyone. A pleasure to be here. I love these kind of panels. I feel like we're just sitting out here on a Twitter space. Difference is, we're all sitting here actually fully in person. There's no avatars here. And we can actually have a casual, legitimate conversation, in front of people who can actually participate with a, raise of hands and not limited to 6 emojis. I absolutely love that. And, community is what we're all about. And this panel idea, the panel topic of speaking on a community, this is what we're here. We're here for community. This is built on community, and it's all the value. We'll get into it.
And Madam Savvy.
Hi, everyone. So I am a community manager for Hire. I also help train other community managers. I've been building communities since actually 2009 in the early days of YouTube. So I have a very unique perspective on this. And on top of that, I do focus more on the creative side of community and marketing. So creative writing, lore building, and really getting people engaged and keeping the conversation going. So.
And I guess finally, my name's Amy. I am a Twitter Spaces host for at least a year. I focus on marketing and advisory for NFT projects and artists as a whole. I come from a tech and IT background, and I've been in crypto for more than 10 years now. So yeah, let's go a bit open. Who wants to speak about how you build a community? Let's keep it real basic at the beginning, and how do you think we should be building communities in this day and age, especially with now the market downturn has made a lot of people run and made a lot of people bitter. So what is your tips to make communities grow in this kind of bear market?
I'll take that one. Sure. So, to quote a legend, in America, John F. Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And I think that's something that we should be applying to your community. It's not about, go buy my product, go mint this out, go do this, giving them call to actions constantly. It's about being there first to provide value, about bringing a group of people together, because that's what people have always wanted to do since the inception of time. They want to go together. As individuals, we're limited in how much we can do. If you have a project that you're by yourself and you're doing it all by yourself, you're never going to succeed. The solo entrepreneur has nothing on what a group of people can do together. And it's so powerful when you have a group of people together. And to have people who care, people who are empathetic, people who really value people as a whole, and gather a group of people who are like-minded about a topic, a subject, a emotion, a feeling. In the aftermath of COVID and people being isolated and separated, it's absolutely amazing that we had these Discord communities, we had Clubhouse, we had Twitter Spaces where people can gather together on a topic that they enjoy to speak together and just to communicate. And step one is to remember that we're all people. Behind every avatar, behind every internet facade that people put on, we are all human, and we all have the same basic needs, the same basic wants. We are all human. And if you look inside of yourself and you actually have an honest conversation with yourself and understand who you are, you'll understand the people next to you. Because at the end of the day, we're not that different. We're all humans. We all have the same basic needs. And to just be able to understand each individual and have community moderators and leaders who understand that and are able to cater to each individual and treat them as individuals, that's how we are able to cultivate that environment, and that will ultimately lead to whatever your goal is in building that community.
Yeah, and you mentioned community moderators. I'd really like to bring Savvy into this, especially with your background, helping train and also being a community moderator yourself. What would be your key points that you'd like to recommend to people in this sort of scenario?
Yeah, so there's a reason why back in Web 2 and other companies that we have these large-scale teams that handle community management. You have the initial person who's probably running the Twitter, the Discord for a company, but then you have other people as well, from creative writers to graphic artists to your hype beasts. Believe it or not, that's actually a position. I don't know what the technical term is called, but companies do rely on these big teams. And so it's really important to remember that when you are setting up your project, when you are looking for somebody to hire for this position or moderators, you have to understand that most people are not going to be an all-in-one package. So it's okay to assist them, or it's okay to look for other help, or it's okay to ask them, hey, what are your writing skills? Because I noticed that that's actually a major, major lacking point in this space. The reason why a lot of these successful projects do so well is because they have a team, a creative team that is helping to push a narrative. So when you talk about lore building, you need those important key points for your community manager and your moderators, because they're going to be passing that information on, and they are going to be the face, essentially, of your project. So you want to make sure that they are effective in communicating and they understand the story that you are trying to tell, or the story that you're trying to fill in the space that you think isn't actually there.
That's a really good point. And I think lore building in a project is incredibly important. A lot of people don't think about that. They don't think about anything beyond, hey, let's mint this out, let's get our money and get out. That seems to be quite common in NFTs nowadays. Whereas if you're looking at people who are trying to build longevity, you're looking at people who are building the lore, they're building the long term. That's what you want in an investment, because it is going to go up and down. The market is inclined to do that, and as we know right now. But I think it's really important for us to focus on that longevity aspect. Now, for me personally, I would like to see utility done away with as this buzzword that everyone uses. Now, it doesn't mean that the NFT that you purchased shouldn't do something, but I don't like that being the key selling point. Everyone focused on art in the beginning, then moved to utility. Now I think it's important to look at community, and I'd really like to bring Craig in on this. Sorry. No pressure.
Yeah.
But I think that community is really important, and I think there's a lot of different ways you can utilize community, and I'd like to think about a few different ways that you would utilize community, especially around your projects and other projects that are out there.
Yeah, sure, and I'm happy to speak on this. I'm sitting up here today with no project in mind really to talk about other than to talk about the projects that I've been involved with. Many of you have been involved with the projects that I have. If you've been into the Bored Ape Yacht Club, if you've been in Artifact, if you've been in World of Women, Deadfellas, there's so many. I've been involved with all of them, and I've participated in the communities. I can tell you that I've exited many of those communities because I've really planted my flag in a community that I think means something to me, and it's spread across multiple projects, but it's a shared community, right? Because again, it's about the word munity, that shared right or privilege, right? These things that we enjoy together, these experiences that we have, and then that com piece, that first 3 letters, they're so powerful. It's what we're doing together. And this morning I was up at, just to tell you, like I was up visiting the Murakami exhibit at the Gagosian, and there were a bunch of clones, standing out in front. And then there were people who also were part of the Artifact community that were part of the shared rights and privilege that were not clone holders. And I think that that's fantastic, right? Because you shouldn't have to buy into any community that you're involved with. It shouldn't be token gated, right? And that's where I think communities are going for longevity and sustainability in this place, are no longer entry barriers, can your wallet sustain this level? Rather, are you willing to be a good participant? Are you willing to co-participate in the building of this experience together? And if you are willing to co-participate in that building, that shared experience together, that's really where we unlock the synergies between the people like Moshe was talking about, right? It unlocks the power that I as a creator, right, or any one of these creators have together. As we come together, I like to say all the time, and my friends are in the front row, we become like Voltron, right? We're all individual robots, but we come together, we can fight these mega, villains together. And like that's where I see community going, and I think it's so powerful. And like I said, I've planted my flag in a community, but it's not one project. It actually spans across multiple projects, and we're very passionate.
Yeah, and I completely agree when you're saying community, because like for me, I was with the Lazy Lions yesterday, but then there's a crossover to Robotos, there's a crossover to Doodles, and it's having that crossover between multiple different projects and the NFT community as a whole, which is much more important than one single project. If you are in one project and one project only, you are missing out. You are not able to enjoy all of these events. You're not able to communicate in the same level that you would be able to with people across multiple communities. And I think that's more important. And I would love to see more of that cross. Like I know yesterday we were at the Lazy Lions meets Puma event. And then today it's Gutter Cats and things like that. I love that there's these big projects that are going and approaching brands in mass and trying to do the exact same thing, but there are multiple of them. And I think that power comes from everyone joining up. Like if you can communicate and join up with other projects, you have power, especially when you're going to approach other brands.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, I've had the pleasure of actually watching the Cheebs NFT community grow. They have done a phenomenal job with their community because everyone's so excited to be there. And that's where you see a lot of success for projects, where you have something that is exciting to the holders that they don't want to stop talking about. This is the secret to every successful project. When we see things like the viral campaigns of goblins, some of us might cringe and wiggle in our seats in discomfort and say, "Oh, what is that?" But it's iconic now. It's a conversation, and people don't stop talking about it. So whether you love them or hate them, they're here to stay. And the Cheebs are doing something very similar, but on the cuter side of things. And so they've partnered with all these cute projects, understanding their demographic. Now, obviously, you can't just stay in one demographic for long. You want to be able to reach out, which is what we see brands and NFT projects doing. This is why Puma is so interesting to me, because they partnered with all of the cat projects, not just one, but all of them. And I think that's amazing because you have, the high ticket items like Gutter Cats and Lazy Lions, but then you have some of the cheaper, more sale items, I shouldn't say cheaper, but things like cat blocks and some of the other ones. They're very, it's all very cohesive in the partnership and everything makes sense. But at the same time, each of those subsects of the community are also different, but then they all get to come together and share their love of Puma.
I think it's important to go back on that, how they all go together. All these cat communities connecting with Puma. There's a reason for that. I'm a marketer by trade. That's what I've been doing for 7 years. And marketing and community go hand in hand. There's a really great analogy that Seth Godin uses, one of the greatest marketers, taking a Harvard professor's analogy. When you drill a hole in the wall, you're selling somebody a quarter-inch drill bit. You're not selling them the drill bit. You're selling them the hole in the wall. That's a quarter-inch. And to take it further, you're not selling them the quarter-inch drill bit. You're selling them the shelf that's going to be there. You're selling them a sense of tidiness, a sense of security. When that person walks into their front door the next day and sees that their stuff are stacked up neatly on their shelf, they feel a sense of security. Their life is in order. Things are good. Now, that might be a stretch when you're standing in Home Depot. You're standing in Lowe's, and you're going through some drill bits, and you're like, how is this going to do that? But at the end of the day, like I said, we all have our wants and our needs, and we confuse them all the time. Your needs, your actual needs, are food, water, shelter, your beer, clothing to make you not die of the elements. If you cover that, then every single thing else that we have in our life, they're wants. Now, the levels of privilege that we have are based on our background, and how much they are considered privilege or a luxury are based on our earnings and all that. And that's a separate topic. But to understand first that we are all people who have a lot of wants, and they're not needs, they're just wants. To understand how to make somebody want something, you have to understand what emotion you're providing them with. Are you interrupting them, or are you providing them with something that's a little better than what they're currently using and easily adoptable? If you're interrupting, you have to approach it one way. If you are just providing something easier, then it's a smoother transition, but you have to give them the reason why they should upgrade, right? You would talk about that when the new iPhone comes out. Is there a new feature? Versus, you have the two big ones in every industry practically, right? Or a couple of big ones. Let's say in smartphones, you have Apple and Samsung. If you're a new Android company and wants to build a phone, what is something so unique you're doing that I should risk my safety? So with a community, when you're trying to get someone to buy into something, you're getting them out of their comfort zone in a way. You're getting them to do something that's not a want that they're used to. It's not a need, it's a want, but you want to get them to feel like they need it. You want to get them that emotional connection that they need this. So when you have these cats that are connecting to Puma, they really feel like it. I was at the Cooltopia, and they have milk, the milk bar. Like, they're branding to make you feel like it. I am, the famous YouTube video, I am my pudgy penguin. It was, people really get connected to their NFT because there's a community, it's like-minded, and you get to have that association where any piece of merch they're going to put out, you're buying. You become a super fan. Every celebrity has their super fans who are their core audience. If you have 1,000 super fans in any industry, you can survive because that is enough to substantiate your life. Again, there's levels of it, but if you have that small core audience of people in a project, a small group of community who really believe in it, you're set because they will spread that word. Like you said, the word of mouth. You have these projects. They are, your marketing team. There are projects like the Lazy Lions where I would say about half the holders are on the marketing team because they're out there marketing it. And we're discussing it right now. That's free press. They're not paying us for this. You have any project that we mention up here is by word of mouth, and that's so vital and important.
Yep.
Yeah, Moshe, thank you for that. That was solid. When it comes to marketing, I come at it from a different side, and it's only because, as a collector, and that's what I'm sitting up here today talking as, I'm really not a consumer, right? And if you treat me like a consumer, I'll leave your project. If I'm just a number, I'm gone. And that's someone talking from a big wallet who truly, that's how I feel. The second that I'm just meant to consume your product, you've lost me.
I think it's important to provide fun for the community, to make things together, not only to sell them things, but include them in the things that you're doing. If you have an event, include them. If you cannot come into the real life, okay, let's jump on Tech Connect Club, or let's do a live, and you can be there, and you can feel that you're there. And also, have groups where people can talk about other interests between each other, like between each other in your community. Maybe it's not about your project, but they get to know each other. So one of the things that I like to do is we do these little contests for people to write. So to write about anything they want. And then, we go and we read, and people get really excited because they get to be a part of the creative process, and it's fun.
Yeah, so that gets to, what are we really trying to unlock here? I mean, most people in this room have probably purchased an NFT at some point because you're hoping that it'll go up in some speculative form and you will make money from it. But the true value that was unlocked by any one of these brands that have done exceptionally well was unlocking the social currency that passes in between individuals. And that social currency is locked at times. And it's very difficult to create channels for that to freely flow between individuals, to get grassroots movements to build products on top of brands, especially open license brands.
Craig, just
go
so
ahead.
you said before about the difference, not to treat me like a number. I think you mentioned before, Amy, about buzzwords, right? And community is a huge buzzword, right? We're talking about it, community. Community that is treated like customers is the most detrimental thing you can do, because it makes you feel like you're using me, like I'm just worthless, you just want my money, and I don't want anything to do with that.
I think community should be done away with, and I love everyone going into the whole GM fam. And it shouldn't be used as some sort of buzzword marketing sort of thing, but realistically, whoever you're following should be the family of that project, and they should be the ones going out recruiting and doing that sort of stuff. Not saying you should be doing your own marketing, because 100% you need to be. But if you don't have the people who are your family going out and trying to expand that family, you are not going to do anything. You are not going to succeed unless you have massive backing from like Yuga with Global in Town. Jesus Christ, how did that get popular? No shade, please don't cancel me. But in all honesty, I don't know how that was popular. It is horrific. It's not something that is providing utility. It's not doing anything important. But there's a lot of amazing small projects out there that are limiting themselves to 1,000, 5,000, or even smaller. And they're trying to do something cool. Tabletop games, they're trying to do events, they're trying to do all of these amazing things. Make those your priority. They may not take off parabolically initially, but I think those will have the more likely longevity than some of these bigger ones. Like, I know, let's be real, Bored Apes are not going anywhere, unfortunately. We all missed out. Well, I missed out, so I can be better. But you need to focus on what's important and focus on something that you are drawn to, focus on the community, focus on the family within that group, and just make sure you vibe with it. Because I know for me, that's the biggest thing. The ones that I sold are ones I didn't care about. The ones I'm holding on to, Lazy Lions, Robotos, God, I could go on. Those guys are the ones that I will never sell.
Yeah, I'll leave you on this thought. Your NFTs that you hold right now, the NFTs that are being sold, those are social tokens. The next upcycle is going to be underpinned by social tokens and identity structures, and they're being built right now. I go out, and the crew in the front, we pink pill every day, and it's about a layer 1 blockchain that is built by a person who worked for the Ethereum Foundation, built for the new creative economies, which will unlock social tokens. If you're interested, check out Luxo. But that's what I'll leave that thought with today. The next upcycle will be on social tokens. You're holding the initial ones right now.
Yeah, and we just want to say thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate you. I'd like to thank everybody who's been up here with us, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your NFT.NYC, and we hope to see you guys out on the floor.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Have the best day ever. Din, 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 din. Woo!